Good morning. Bit of an unplanned sesh today. Just coming on, hanging with my guys. I've got a new mic, which I'm testing, so I'm hoping it's working all right. Also, I don't know if you can see it, but across the bottom, I've quickly added in a banner with a call-in number, and this call-in number is now available to use. So we've got on the Glinton show tonight, Dave Lipson on, and we're hopefully going to have. Oh, hello, sir. How are you? And to you. This is a Father's Day special, so happy Father's Day to the father, Mr. Philip Kelly. Not to be associated with James Kelly, who is a high rock sir that we could talk about in a bit if you want. So what I need to do, because of this bloody phone line, just in case it's swamped with people trying to ring in, is have these on. Now I don't know. Oh, I can. There we go. I can hear everything already. So I've got a few things I want to talk about today, most of which is around fatherhood and dads. I'm not massively keen on talking about it all the time, all year round, but I think for one day we can make an exception, can't we? What makes a good dad? What is a dad? That's a big question, isn't it? I guess something's changed of recent. Before we do that, though, I'm going to pull up someone. I'm not going to put. I've got a raccoon man just popped up on my thing. I'm not going to pull that out. I'm going to show you a friend of a friend. And the friend of the friend is, well, a sister of a friend. Let's call her. Ms. Jackie Herring. Now, Jackie is the sister of a certain Ms. Kroom, Heidi, that's in the chat. Heidi from the chat. Jackie is her sister, and Heidi never talks about this. But Jackie just dominated and won Ironman Prone Series event in Cairns. If ever you want to do an Australian accent, just say Cairns. Easy. So she did an Ironman. She won it in dominant fashion. Yeah, those numbers are insane. Like, she finished with a sub-3 marathon at the end, which is just a joke, to be honest. But yeah, she's very, very, very fit lady person. Coming through though, coming through. So yeah, just wanted to highlight and showcase Jackie. It's a good point, actually. Don't know how to filter through the sound. Might be. Let's have a look. See if I can sort it out on there. I've come to the realization that. Let's do that. I don't have to be talking and showing stuff all the time. I'll just be doing my admin. So if I do this, does it come through? Jesus, that is loud, isn't it? Input. Put it down there. So this is on YouTube. Oh, there we go. That's better. Then I can't hear myself. Jesus Christ, that's loud. I won't do that again. Let's not do that again, shall we? We need to whisper. I'll figure that out. See, I don't know how to get that quieter. Roadcaster. Output. output. Don't know. Anyway, good. So Jackie, well done for that. We're hoping at some point to be able to get Jackie on the show to have a chat. Jon's more of a endurance man than I am. Jon can go for longer. Younger. So yeah, that's Jackie. And we'll hope to get her on the show and we can chat bits and pieces. Maybe Heidi can translate for us. Be on the show as well. So that's Jackie. Well done, Jackie. I'm sure everyone's bored already of that whole hybrid raccoon thing. Boring. I want to look at see if Hunter's said anything overnight. We are big fans of Hunter on this show, and I will not have anyone say anything against. Right. Oh, happy Father's Day, Christian. Christian, are you a father? Are you a father? With that back, I expect you carry a family on that back. So Father's Day, I didn't realise, I had to Google it this morning. I didn't realise it's an international Father's Day. Because a lot of the time, like Mother's Day, we in the UK and Europe, we celebrate it on different days, and then the US celebrates it a different day, blah, 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 blah. But I think this is one of the only ones that we get globally to celebrate together. So there we go. Interesting fact for you. Full of interesting facts today. Yeah, 2 boys and a family. Oh, awesome. How old are the boys, Christian? They're a bit like 6 and 7-ish. Yeah, so what I was sort of wanting to talk about was a little while ago, there was a program called Adolescence on Netflix. Don't know if you've seen it. I haven't actually watched it out of spite, I guess. 7 and 4. Cool. Lovely. Awesome ages. Much difference between them in terms of personality. Obviously, they can be very different, can't they? Obviously, I've got a daughter who's nearly 8, and so she's 7. And my son is 6, so they're quite close together. 20 months, I think, between them. But it's funny because whatever combo you have, there's pros and cons. But we've at the gym we go to, there's quite a lot of people with 3 kids. But we always talk about like the 2 when there's 2, which combo would be optimal. And I feel I'm lucky to have a daughter and a son. So 7 and 6. PK's got a daughter and a son. One of each is cool. They do conflict, obviously, a little bit. And as they get older, I'm assuming their personalities are going to diverge a little bit, be a male and female. But yeah, if you've got 2 boys, that I grew up with one brother, and I know what 2 boys are like, it's very different. And then I have a lot of people saying like there's got like 2 sisters like in the house. Again, very different, comes with its own challenges. Boy and a girl, I think, is probably optimal, I would have thought. Yeah. It's good. It's one of those though, isn't it, where you're gonna have to let it go a lot. And like I don't know about you, Christian, but I grew up in a household with like my dad liked control. So everything had to be in order and disciplined and in control. If you're someone that, like a father that likes to be in control of things, I don't mean, physically or anything, but you like to control the house. Having little savages running around and not listening and just doing their thing, you want them to explore, you want them to be free, you want them to be able to figure shit out themselves. But at the same time, it's so fucking weird. But when it comes to fighting, I think you just got to let them find out the hard way, haven't you? Like your 4-year-old, he's obviously, got a set on him where he'll take on a 7-year-old, which is awesome. He's probably going to find out, on the regular, not to mess with people the bigger. And I guess as they get older, that'll show itself even more. But again, you want to encourage these behaviors that outside of the house, they know the difference between wrestling, just randomly wrestling with a 7-year-old brother, and doing it at school. That's if they go to school. Yeah, my kids have got recently stepped up a gear in jiu-jitsu. My son's been doing it. He's 6, just turned 6. He's been doing it for about just over a year. Hello, CrossFit Untamed. Now, for you, it's 3:00 in the morning. Thank you for joining us. However, I live about 8 hours in front of you. No, more than that. It's nearly 11 o'clock now. 11 a.m. here. So, c'est moi. But thanks for joining us at 3:00 in the morning. Are you drunk? Where are you? Well, 3:00 in the morning, I could work it out, but I can't be bothered. You can tell me. Don't get broken, but sure they can go hard, no close fist. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So again, I never did any martial arts as a kid. Washington State. So Washington State is the West Coast, is that right? And then Washington DC is the east, and that's the capital city. That's right, isn't it? I think. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, they've got to the point now where Pacific. You got to be more Pacific than that. You got to the point with jiu-jitsu where their things have started to make sense to them. We all go through it. California. I keep getting sent these Arnie meme pages with him singing songs, which is great because I'm 40. I grew up prime fucking Arnie. 90s was basically Arnold Schwarzenegger, wasn't it? What was I talking about? I think doing one of these shows gives you ADHD. Yeah. What was I talking about? Yeah, jiu-jitsu. So the kids have got to the point where things are making sense. They're linking moves up. They're understanding where the points are coming from. They've got their first tournament in, blimey, about a month now in Liverpool. So we're getting the boat across, going to Liverpool for a comp. That'd be cool. Now, my daughter's a bit of a savage on the mats. I wonder if I can get a video up. Let's have a look. Talk amongst yourselves. All 10 of you. Do it online, but yeah, the kids have got really they've started to, and they're doing it 3 times a week. They do PT on a Tuesday afternoon. Tuesday morning because we homeschool. And then Thursday night and Friday night they do classes. Obviously different environment, but they're starting to be able to get to the point where I can just sit back and watch, and they surprise me. There's a certain point with anything that the kids do, I guess, is when they have the ability to surprise you in a positive way when they get to a certain age. And I've been watching PK's videos of his kids doing their basketball and baseball, I think, recently. And again, they're at the point now where I'd imagine they're starting to surprise him with their ability, but it's the change in the fact that they've gone from a little blob that you've made, and then you've raised it and you've done a pretty decent job, and then they get to a point where they're actually making good decisions in sport. It's a very weird process that when you can step back and you think, oh, they actually know what they're doing now. And with martial arts, I haven't got a clue because I never did it myself. And watching them doing it now is pretty cool because they're getting to a point, and they get obsessed with one move. So my son started going from the off, going for a double leg takedown, and all he does is just throws his face um, at knees. It's and there's only a certain amount of times you can get away with that. So he's had a few knocks this week, which is good. But again, the original point of what we we're saying about this was the discipline and the acknowledgement of behavior around physicality is an important thing. And I like that it's so accessible now, because you think even obviously I was aware of jiu-jitsu, like my old gym in 2014, 15 had a jiu-jitsu area and martial arts area. So I was aware of it. I just didn't really bother taking notice of it. But um it the accessibility access for people to be able to, the kids especially, to be able to go to this community of people where they can learn to be disciplined, physical with people, and understand boundaries and respect. It's cool, and I think a lot of younger people need it. And one of the things that I was thinking about talking about today was the difference, um, the difference in portrayal of men, masculinity. What makes a man? What makes masculine these days? Obviously, it's a fucking ginormous conversation to be had. Um, there's a lot of nuances to it, and yes, obviously, we need to speak in general terms. You can't you can't just say one size fits all. However, there are certain traits, there are certain qualities that I think all men should aspire to. Um, and one thing that I've noticed, one thing that I'm very aware of, and I feel like I've got carte blanche today because it's Father's Day, so we'll talk about this with no repercussions. Um, it's become increasingly difficult to talk about the masculine and what it means to be a man and what masculinity means and what it should be without talking about the feminine, without reflecting on what women can do and can't do. And over the last sort of 5 years, we had it with Black Lives Matter. Um, it's okay to have a conversation about one group of people without bringing in another. It was the messaging throughout that whole period. And I think when we're talking about, when we have this really important conversation for boys, like globally, I think we can all agree globally, young lads, teenage lads, um, the root cause, like a friend of ours, Jeremy from the chat, he always talks about, and Pat, they always talk about, it's not the government, it's not the school system. It's, when we're talking about schools, they talk about, it's about bad parenting and the parents aren't there. It comes from the parents. And I tend to agree, but what you're going to do about it? It's all well and good coming up with problems. It's all well and good coming up with, but this is wrong. Okay, that's fine. I acknowledge that that's wrong, but what are we going to do about it? What is constructive here? And I do tend to believe that that's one very masculine trait, going directly for the jugular, going directly for, right, we need a clear path here, clarity, less talk, more action. That's one attribute that I see across. Hello, David. Are you talking about these? I know I need my ears out, but I can't apparently. Hope you're well. Yeah. But the way, and especially as you get a little bit older, so obviously I keep saying I'm 40. I'm 40 now. In all circles of life, whether it's at the gym, whether it's at home, whether it's a supermarket, whether it's fucking parking the car, whatever situation I'm in, I just want clarity. I just want a direct route to the end. I don't want faff. I don't want a whole conversation about shit. I don't want to hear A to B to C to D to E. I don't want to hear it all. I just people run up to you and say, like there's a fire. Okay, cool. What have you done about it? What do you want me to do about it? Can we just sort things out? There's a certain solution orientation that I really think more people should get invested in. Now, when we're talking about, I hate fucking talking about politics. It bores me. Like, it really bores me. It's tribal. It's your team against mine. It's crap. I'd just rather stay out of it. But when we're talking about a global issue that this whole generation of young lads hasn't got direction, hasn't got purpose, haven't got necessarily strong role models. We need to ask why. We need to ask why they don't have a strong role model. One, what would your role model look like? That's the big question, because you've got loads of men out there in the public space, but why aren't they role models? Or are they role models for you? Why do you find the role models? Now, there's this huge gap in the field here for the young men that strive for something that they don't know they're looking for. And that thing is masculinity. That thing's being a man, being male. And they don't know what that means because there's been no conversation about it. All they've had, they haven't had to talk about what is masculine. They've talked about what isn't masculine, because on the flip side, quite rightly, we've been talking and promoting the feminine and talking about women and talking about them, which is great. They clearly needed it. But what that's led to is a complete neglect and disregard for the younger boys and the younger men in the world. We've been highlighting what they shouldn't be doing, what they can't be like to suit everyone, which is fine. However, we're now at a point where we need to address what they can be like, what they should strive for, what masculine is. Because until you do that, you're going to have a whole generation of jellyfish floating around, bumping into shit, not knowing what to do. And then you get people like Andrew Tate coming along that fill that gap, that give them this requirement. Hey, Mrs. Vinegar. How you doing, Avery? Yeah, and again, I think quite rightly though, Christian. I think we did get to a point where it was cool to demonstrate, discuss, talk about the feminine, what women are free to do and what they should be able to do, an opportunity. That was obviously justified, right? However, that's one conversation. We can have another conversation without talking about the other one. And unfortunately, I've tried over the last 6 months. I've tried so hard to talk to people, especially women. And there's a few instances where I've said to them, married women with kids, what value does your husband bring that you can't? What is that? Because whatever that is, that's the male role in your household. As soon as we talk about that, the discussion then reverts back to what the mum can do and what the mum does. It's never, ever just about what the dad's doing. And what I'm trying to get my head around is a way that we can have that conversation without turning into a fucking dad's group where they're crying into pillows and screaming and fucking talking about how unfair the world is. I don't want to talk about how unfair the world is. I don't want to talk about how unfair suicide rates are, job discrimination, anything like that. I do not want to talk about that shit. All I want to do is address and have this conversation. What is it that we want out of men? What is that masculinity that we want and need? Because it's clearly lacking, because we've got this generation of kids without dads around, and the dads that are around, are they doing a good enough job? And I talked about this the other day. What's this? Heteronormative gender roles are aligned with biological predisposition to certain strengths and weaknesses between men and women. We just protect those differences. We must protect those. Yeah. Yes. And Avery, a really important, and I totally agree with you there. Totally agree. We're on the same page. Jordan Peterson addresses this because people have kickback, but my son's not gender normative. That's cool. That's fine. But we must have a normative somewhere in there. And I think he uses this this phrase. I'm going to butcher it and paraphrase it, and it's going to not sound great. But he talks about humans have two legs as a statement. Humans have two legs. Obviously, some don't. Some have no legs. Some have one leg through instance. However, humans have two legs, right? So when we talk about these kind of things, we have to have those statements available as general terms for what we're talking about. We have to have it. We can't have 4 billion different conversations about what a man is because it just doesn't work that way. And yeah, you're right. We need to protect those differences. Yeah, 100%. And do you know that one of the fucking thousands of reasons that I love I can't call it a community anymore. I'm not allowed, am I? As CrossFitters in our gyms, and it expands outside CrossFit gyms, obviously, but it's where I'm based, barbell gyms and CrossFit gyms. There's an acknowledgement. There's a predisposition of people that walk in that understand that. Yeah. I just keep putting it up. Every time now I go to say community, I got that video of Susan saying, we're not a community, we're CrossFitters. But yeah, I can't remember what it was. But it's like that. I mean, that conversation's obviously quite nuanced, and there's context that is buried in that post that he did. I just find it very funny. And there's a big conversation about community at the moment within the CrossFit world and online. And I think it's about 2 years behind where it should be. We all know we've got a community. We all know if you work at a CrossFit gym, you're a CrossFitter. If you do CrossFit, you're a CrossFitter. Anyway, yeah. So generally speaking, men are men, women are women, and we kind of know instinctively what that means. Oh, I think we should anyway. Generally, more often than not. There's a reason we have male and female RXs at CrossFit, because we acknowledge before we do the workout, before we even walked in, we've acknowledged everyone's aware of it. Everyone's in on it. The programmers, the coaches, the athletes, everyone coming in. We know. And that's okay. It's okay to be different. It's okay to have, what is it called? Heteronormative gender roles. Yeah. And biological predispositions. It's okay for that to be the case. It's okay. And in some cases, we can celebrate that. And we have done. We've celebrated strong females. We've celebrated that, which we should have done. We talk about it with our kids. You know, that mummy's strong, got a lot of muscle on her, and she's a strong woman. But also, I show them that I'm a strong man when I wrestle and when I lift in the gym and when I'm just the way I am. It's again, it's this whole thing about discussion. Does there need to be discussion about every single step of the way of these things? Yeah. And Christian, I need your advice here, right? And I need your input. So I grew up with a dad that was quite physical. So if we were out of line, wasn't every day, obviously, but 2 sons, he was very working, a panel beater, long days, hard days, grafting, comes back, two twat sons that just destroy everything and fight and kick football, soccer balls everywhere and just act like a couple of twats, getting in fights, getting busted up, breaking legs, all the shit, right? I get it. I get why a good smack around the arse or shoulder or whatever was necessary. But I can't. I have the urge as a dad with my son. I feel there's a physical respect that needs to be in, keep them in check. My daughter, I don't need to. She doesn't push that line, doesn't push that button. She instinctively knows. Whereas my son's pushing that, and I don't ever hit him. But I need him to know that I'm in charge. So I might hold his shoulders and just keep him locked in while I talk to him, or I might hold my hand on his shoulder and talk to him. I'm not against a nod smack here and there for other kids, and if parents want to do that, and if dads want to do that, and it works for them, and it keeps their kids in check, that's on them. I think that's fine. Obviously, there's lines, but I can't bring myself to it. I feel personally there's other ways. There's better ways for me with my son, but I mean he's only 6, so I'll see by the time he's a teenager. I'll see how we're still getting on with that. That's women are much better. Certain, fucking hell yeah, hell yeah. I'll give you one example of that. Fucking packing for holidays. I don't want to pack, and I know. I say I don't want to. I know my wife doesn't want to either. She's so much better at it. Right. So Avery, I heard like me and my wife came up with this fucking thing a little while ago. So mummy's the law, daddy's the police. So mummy comes up with the structure and the rules and everything around the house, and daddy regulates. Daddy makes sure that it's all enforced. So I'm the enforcer. It's tending to work. Obviously, we all know who's really in charge. Also, be careful not to teach sons to be. Yeah. They need to know how to communicate. Rates of violence. Yeah, they are outstanding. Astounding, not outstanding. They're astounding. And again, another reason why I think it's so fucking important for especially young boys to have an outlet for physicality, whether it's martial arts, whether it's rugby, whether it's American football, whatever the fuck it is, they need that physical. If you've got a son, you know damn well what I'm talking about. If they haven't done anything all day, by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, they're fucking mental. They're jumping on sofas. They're doing cartwheels on and off sofas. They're throwing shit around. They've got this voltage, this static that builds up in the day that they need to get rid of. Whereas I think physically, this is just my experience of my daughter. She channels that into process, into things, whether it's a Lego block, whether it's more science work, and she loves drawing animals and shit, or whatever it is, she can channel that. And I know that this is, again, we're talking generally, but from what I've seen, there's about 15 kids that live down our street in like a cul-de-sac, so the end of a road and next to a field. So we're really lucky where we live. The kids just go out and play all night, all day, holidays, weekends, they're out there. It's like a zoo. You can sit and watch. So I'll sit out in the front garden having a coffee sometimes and just watch. And the way that boys play is completely fucking different to the way that girls play. Boys just want to destroy each other physically. The girls tend to talk more and to do more refined things. So and have more. They'll all have role play, but the boys will say, right, I'm going to be Mark Camlish, the cyclist. I'm going to go as fast as I can on my bike, and you're going to be a monkey with a stick, and you've got to throw it in my wheel. That's the game they were playing the other day, right? Whereas the girl, genius. Whereas the girls are playing sitting down and they're watching this and they're writing notes and they're like drawing stuff, and it's so fucking different. And I think boys need that outlet. They need to be physical. It's just in us. We've got this thing, which, like you said earlier, Avery, is a biological predisposition, generally speaking, for a good reason. You know, we've been doing this for millions of years, and we can't now stop what we're doing and say we've changed, because we can't as easily as that. The way to do that is eat fucking loads of sugar, give them screen time, and get them massive on a sofa. So yeah, but then they build up this rage. They still have that static. They build up this rage and this resentment, and then we know what happens with that, don't we? And my boys can be, well, what's that saying? It's better. Yeah, exactly. And again, I say this with the most amount of respect for other parents and their kids. I love what my son does. I see him with the other boys and girls, and I think you're the man. Like, he's already trailblazing. You know that, like, he's got a lot of faults, right? But you know, there's that one kid that walks in a room and then just like lights it up. That wasn't me. I was the weird kid in the corner, not saying much, watching, and just being weird and counting my fingers and shit. But yeah, my son just walks in. He's just there. He's just part of it. Gets in the midst, which is cool. That's just confidence, I think. And I love that. And both of them are getting like that. But getting back to the point, I think we need to be able to talk about boys and young men and what that linear path between boyhood into manhood, what that looks like for most. Again, generally, not everyone. What does that look like for most? What do they need? What do boys need? They need purpose. They need aspiration. They need inspiration, but they also need guidelines. Boys need barriers. We were talking about this a minute ago. Boys need barriers. They push in boundaries all the time. It's what men do and what boys do. They're pushing boundaries, finding out what they can do, what they're allowed to get away with. Boys do that. And they need to find them. And they enjoy it. They enjoy that process. And I think what we need to do is figure out, from a philosophical point of view, what is masculinity? What is that peak? What is that North Star? What is that aim for young men? Because at the moment it just feels like there's nothing. And I've looked. I've been looking at this for a while. I don't need it. I'm very fortunate. I grew up in the 90s where there was none of these, no screens. We had strong role models. I had my dad at home, who was a very good, strong role model for me. I had strong men all around me. And I knew what a man was. I just knew. And I still do. And for me, the only place that is abundant for young men is the gym, is sport. And what traits does that leave? What traits does it demonstrate? And look, the thing is, whenever we have this conversation, we've got to have it. We can't not have it. And people could pick the bones apart and pick the conversation apart and say, oh, well, this is it always comes back to the feminine. It always comes back to, yeah, but women. We need to talk about it purely from a young man perspective and a boy perspective, and what it means to be a masculine without referring to the feminine, at least partially, at least initially, because those boys are being reflected upon into the feminine. They need to understand what it is to be them first. Just like when you're putting your own oxygen mask on a plane or whatever, you need to sort your own fucking head out first. And as a young man, you need to have guidelines. You need to have boundaries. You need to know where you can and can't go. But also you need to understand what it is that you are striving for. what you are supposed to be like, or not supposed to be, but the North Star, like with nutrition, with CrossFit, eat meats, vegetables, nuts, seeds, sunflower, little starch, no sugar. We know we have a framework. You're going to veer away from that. You're not going to be perfect, but that's what we're aiming for. And it's the same. We need those traits. We need that guideline. We need a path for these younger men to walk down because they don't have one at the moment. The only path they have had is elimination of all the paths that other people don't want them to go down. They haven't been told what they should or shouldn't, what they should be doing. Um, yeah, yeah. It's a tool. It's a tool to be used. It would be neglectful to not allow them completely to be on the screens, just like us. We use them all the time. You'd be doing your kids a massive disservice to never allow them screen time. But we found, because we haven't got iPads. I'm sure you can do this on iPads as well. They probably invented it, but we've got these Amazon Fire screen things, cheaper version of an iPad, basically. And there's barriers and settings on that you can set, and we've given them an hour a day. So as soon as that screen's been on for an hour, it just time's up, done. So they know now to ration as well. So they're understanding that rather than keeping the screen on, walking away for 5 minutes to go for a piss, they turn the screen off. They're understanding about rationing their usage. Yeah, it's nuts. They don't understand the repercussions. And we've heard this talked about a lot, haven't we? About the difference between being nice and being kind. Me and my wife talk about all the time about this with our kids. We let them know that we're being kind, not nice. It might come across that we're being not very nice, but we also let them know that we love them immensely, and everything that we do is for their betterment, and it's for being kind. Not cruel. We're never cruel. Cruel to be kind is obviously an exaggeration for a simple term, but as a kid, and it's hard, isn't it? Because you think back to when you were a kid and your parents said or did things that seemed a certain way when you're a kid, but as an adult now, you can reflect on it and think, yeah, they did do the right thing. They were doing the kind thing. That probably ended up, no. Conflict with you. Yep. Exactly. 100%. And I notice it with my kids when they come off the screens. They're different. They're not the same. They almost need to go through fucking airlock. Like an airlock in a fucking astronauts have to go through in the sci-fi films, like when they have to go into one thing, lock, come through, like on a submarine or whatever. It's nuts. They come off there and their eyes are like this big, and they're quick, synapses are going, dopamine's through the roof, and they need to go through a bit of a deflation before they're back to reality. Yeah, kinds overnight, every day of the week. And my wife and I demonstrate this with our kids all the time, with each other. So my wife and I will be kind rather than nice. Because I'm a big advocate of leading by example. Whether or not that's a good thing, I don't know. There needs to be differences between obviously adults and kids, but I think the closer you can get to demonstration, the better. Just like coaching, really. The closer you can get to demonstration, the better. You're not going to be able to do it all. I can't demonstrate 10 street muscle ups. Doesn't mean I can't coach it. Yeah. Now, and really interesting thing, Avery. Really interesting I read this week. Was about kids with ADHD. And without getting into the numbers and the rates and the blah, blah, blah. It kind of makes sense for a lot of kids, really, as well. So they're talking about dopamine, and kids with ADHD have really, really hard time regulating dopamine, and they crave it. Obviously, we all crave dopamine. It's feeling good, obviously. But kids with ADHD, obviously, they don't mean to. It's unintentional, but the listening skills aren't there. They're a little bit behind. Everything's delayed. They're thinking about 10 million things at once. They can't hear your voice, blah, blah, blah. We all know these things. What this thing was talking about was the way that you as a parent and as an adult react to that. So as a young kid, so ages, I think it was 3 to 10 they were using as an example. If you shout, if you escalate with those kids, you raise their dopamine because their heart rate goes up, they react. So you're raising their dopamine. Over time, because they crave that dopamine, they then crave that exact attention they got. So they crave you shouting at them. So the more often that you shout at them, the more they want it. And then they grow up purposefully being abrasive, purposefully going after you to push that button so that you shout so they can hit that dopamine. So my wife and I are pretty sure son's got, I hate labeling kids and giving them this, that, and the other. And there's, we've tried it this week. We've tried less of the escalation in terms of volume and reaction. And we've noticed a bit of a difference. And it goes without saying that the less you have to shout, the less you have to communicate like a barbarian, the better. But the way that they react and the way that they go after your attention, because all kids want that attention. But if you've ever found your kid, it seems like they're trying to get you annoyed. It's probably what it is. They're probably after that dopamine hit of being on the receiving end of a screaming fight. So yeah, something to bear in mind, something to think about. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Which is always a good thing. It's like it's a very odd thing, but when people start to whisper and then the other one whispers back, why are we whispering? Volume is what's it called? Fucking catchy. It's infectious. That's the one. Volume's infectious. So if you talk loudly, the other people talk loudly. You talk quietly. They talk quietly. It's just how it is. We're humans. We mirror. We imitate. We reflect. We're social beings. Contagious. That's the word. Thanks. Not infectious. That's a bit more dramatic, isn't it? Bit icky. So yeah, contagious. Volume's contagious. So if you ever find yourself in a shouting, screaming match, bring it down 10 notches. But again, you can tell kids that have grown up in houses where it's been a screaming match and where the volume's higher for whatever reason, just the way they are. Doesn't mean we can't help, does it? But yeah, that adolescence program a little while ago that I started talking about, it was a British thing. It was on Netflix, had Ashley Waters, and that's Stephen Mahern, I think his name is. About a young lad that I think he killed a girl, and then there was the police inquiry, and they were wondering how he'd got like it, how he was there. But thank you for joining us, Avery. Have a lovely flight. Enjoy yourself. And yeah, enjoy your day. Thanks very much. It was basically, there was no solution given. There was no I don't think identification of the real cause. And being outside of the US, we don't talk about the gun thing too much. But one thing that I have heard a lot of intelligent people talking about is the root cause of the gun crime and like the school shootings is mental health and drug addiction rather than kids just randomly picking up a gun and shooting. So address the cause, address the root cause of it, and you will stop the flow of the river. You go upstream to fix it so that it doesn't come down. And I think a lot of the issues of young men going into adolescence, going into their 20s, if you want to resolve a lot of those issues and a lot of the younger men, you need to figure out what that cause is. And for a lot of them, it will be a lack of understanding about what it is to be masculine, what it is to be a man, without the conversation of the feminine and the female. That needs to happen. And I'm really aware of it when I'm on that one. I'm on that one. Sorry, I'm just looking at the cameras. There we go. I'm really aware of it when I talk to my son. It's really important he understands about his mum and his sister and the girls around and that kind of thing. But I'm really aware that I need to talk to him about being a man and eventually, and what it means to be a dad, what it means to be a father. And I don't want to give him all the tricks. Obviously he's 6. But one thing I was thinking about the other day, someone asked me, we were talking about this, and someone asked me, well, what do you think of when you think of a man? Like if someone said, picture a man, what do you think of? And I just think of my dad. And I think to some respect, we all do that. The first thing I think about is my dad. That's what a man is, right? So if I use that as a logic for what other people use as what is a man, if they haven't had a dad around, who are they going to think of? Who are the men that they're going to think of when they think of what is a man? And what is manly? What is manly? So for me, I think of my dad, and then I think of hard work. I think of early mornings. I think of physicality. I think of graft. I think of being there. I think of being in my life every day, almost to a fault. I think of taking me to my sport matches. Think of just being there, being present, always being present, always there for me, and being the person that I can go to ask questions. I know he wasn't my friend; he's my dad, much more than a friend. So, and that whole conversation doesn't include my mum, doesn't include anyone else, just includes me and him, and understanding what that role meant to me. And I think, therefore, when I think of what is a man, I think of a dad. I think of being a father. Ultimately, for me, that's what a man is. It's a father. And what is a father? A provider and a protector, and a teacher, and an enforcer, and a boundary setter. And I love that. And I had that. I was very lucky to have that at home and around me. And I think if you lack that, if you don't have that, I think perhaps that's where I can see why there might be gaps in knowledge that need filling. And I can see where that lack of education might then have to come from other sources. Now, if we don't like those other sources, if we don't like those other places that the information is coming from, we have to therefore get a better solution, and we need a better place. So who are those men going to be for the kids that don't have fathers at home? Who are they going to be? Where are they coming from? Now, for me, it's got to be sport. Sport demonstrates all the good qualities in people. Well, it should. Discipline, hard work, loyalty, value sets, achievement, reward, understanding process, understanding that you need to be able to lean on other people for help. You've got everything in sport. So yeah. Anyway, big day, Father's Day. I think And I played a video here the other day, right? I want to minimize myself for this. I keep watching this. Where is it? Where is she? That might come really loud though. Easy. Now I don't want this to be really loud. It might be really loud. There's so many things I've got to tell you, but I'm afraid I don't know how. 'Cause there's a possibility that you look at me differently, love. Ever since the first moment I spoke your name, from then on I knew that by you being in my life, things were destined to change. 'Cause love, so many people use your name in vain. Love, those who have faith in you sometimes go astray. Love, through all the ups and downs, the joys and hurts. Love, for better or worse, I still will choose you first. Oh. So yeah, so that video sums up for me what a father should be. He's there, and the caption that goes with that video, right? James, who I had on the show, who I'm hoping to get on again really soon. The caption that goes with that is that his daughter was struggling with a certain move, and he knew she wasn't being able to get it. And he's not a gymnastics coach; he's a CrossFit coach, juggernaut coach, weightlifting coach, powerlifting coach. But he understands basic, the gymnastics to an extent. And he went to the gymnastics club and just asked, can we go in and practice using the kit? And they said, yeah. So he gave up, he gave 2 hours, just him and his daughter, just went in there and they practiced and they practiced and they trained. And she got it wrong a number of times. And he calmed her, he hugged her, he told her, let's move on, let's do it again. And by the end of it, she gets it. And it's a beautiful process. What an incredible moment to be able to have witnessed. And that's what a father is. Strength doesn't have to be beating on your chest. Strength is being calm. And we talked about this earlier, Avery. Strength is being calm. Strength is having direction and understanding that achievement can be made, and just being there for it. Yeah, there we go. Good. All right. So talking of Father's Day, I'm going to go and meet my dad in a bit. Have a coffee. Another one. But yeah, dads, I hope you have an amazing day. Be there with yours. And if you are not a dad and you've got a dad around, I can go and see him. He'll love it. Us dads don't talk too much. Quite rightly. We just chat shit like that for the last 59 minutes. But the older guys in my life that just sit in the corner in a sofa or in a chair, just sat back, being quiet. I get it. When I was a kid, I see my granddad sat in the corner in his chair, just being quiet, just watching. I think to him, like, why is he doing that? I get it now. You get to sit back and just admire. You get to be granddad. You get to sit in the back, take a back seat and just admire it. What a beautiful role that is. Right. Have an amazing day, guys. Savon's back at 3 o'clock, I believe. And then I am on with Yoni Boy. later with Dave Lipsome. And also, we have our head-to-head rescheduled match tonight, straight after 8 p.m. GMT. We're on with Dave Lipsome still. Dave Lipsome at, well, in about 6-7 hours. So go over to Glinton Things to find that stream. We'll get that all sorted. But have a lovely day, everyone. Enjoy yourself. And I will speak to you soon. Bye.